Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Shreya Dhondial. As always, it is good to see you. After 3 months, India and China are back on the top table once again. Will we see the disengagement process move forward? Well, last time round, things ended on a fairly bitter note. Going into the talks, India has said they were looking forward to a constructive dialogue. The Army Chief today in his annual press conference has said that it is good to keep the dialogue going and that war is a last resort. But if an escalation does come, India will be victorious. All that is fine. But is the heavy deployment of men and machines and rapid infra build-up a sign that the Chinese are cementing the status quo on the ground? That question to my guest this evening, General Hooda, is joining us on the broadcast. So is Rakesh Sood this evening. But before we get to that, take a look at the big highlights of the Army Chief's press conference today. "60,000 Indian troops deployed in the icy heights of eastern Ladakh are spending a second winter here, battling the elements. The weather here is often the bigger enemy. As the 14th Corps Commander level talks got underway to resolve the standoff in eastern Ladakh, the Army Chief addressed his first ever virtual press conference.
Sorry for that technical glitch. We are also using this format for the first time.
He was as clear as he could be. Yes, there has been disengagement in Pangong So, Gokra and Galwan last year, but he said the threat had not reduced. When asked if the 20-month standoff with China could see an escalation, this is what he said.
The situation is stable and under control. As I mentioned, the talks are underway, and while the talks are underway, there is always hope. What happens and whether a situation escalates or not is very difficult to foretell or to predict. But with whatever we have done so far, we are in a position to meet whatever is thrown at us in the future. And of that, I can assure you very confidently. And war is always, or conflict is always an instrument of last resort. But if resorted to, we will come out victorious.
20 months into the standoff, China is adamant on cementing the status quo on the ground. And India continues to insist for status quo ante. That is, the Chinese withdrawing to where they were 20 months ago. The last round of talks ended bitterly, but the Army Chief says it is important to keep the dialogue going.
Well, the talks have been ongoing for a long time, and the 14th round of talks are presently underway. It is a good thing that talks are going on. It shows that we can resolve our differences through dialogue. So in this series of talks that are going on, we are hopeful that we'll be able to resolve the issues at PP17, and once correction at PP15, which is the one which is pending as of now. While we will continue to deal with the PLA in a firm and resolute manner, necessary safeguards are in place to take care of any contingency.
As the talks continue, China has been building infrastructure along the LAC at breakneck speed. The bridge over Pangong So being the latest. Is this an indication that China's aggressive deployment at the LAC with 60,000 troops and heavy weaponry and new airstrips is permanent? After all, disengagement will mean little if there's no de-induction by the end of it.
It is quite clear, and I think the MEA also made reference to it when they said that the amassing of large forces by the Chinese in eastern Ladakh is the root cause of this situation which developed. But now that they are there and they have made a lot of infrastructure, it remains to be seen whether they will permanently station themselves there, garrison themselves there, or whether they would be amenable to some kind of de-induction
The surprise came at the end of the Army Chief's annual press conference. Can the world's highest battlefield, the Siachen Glacier, be demilitarized? Not averse to the idea, said the Army Chief, but he laid down conditions.
We are not averse to demilitarization of the Siachen Glacier, but a precondition of that is to accept the AGPL, that is the actual ground position line. The Pakistan has to accept what are their positions, accept what are our positions, and both of us have to sign on the dotted line before any kind of disengagement takes place.
The Siachen Glacier is situated at an altitude of 18,000 feet, and the temperature here can go down to minus 70 degrees. This is where India and Pakistan lose soldiers every year, not to bullets, but to avalanches. But so far, the Indian Army has not been keen to demilitarize the glacier because Pakistan cannot be trusted. In New Delhi, I'm Shreya Dhondial. Lieutenant General D.S. Hooda is joining us on the broadcast today. So will Rakesh Sood in just a bit. He's a former diplomat. General Hooda, good to see you. Good evening. Happy New Year, first of all. Before I get to the China question, I quickly want to spend a couple of minutes understanding what the Army Chief has said on demilitarizing Siachen. Has what he said largely keeping with what India's stance has been for the last 20 years? And should we even be thinking about it, demilitarizing Siachen, when our northern border is so troubled?
So Shreya, a very happy New Year to you and the Network 18 team. See, what the Army Chief has said has been our position in the past. I mean, after all, we've had numerous rounds of talks with the Pakistan. Defense secretaries have met each other. Army officers have met each other on demilitarization of Siachen. If I recall correctly, the last round of talks, happened in 2012. And our position consistently has been that while we agree to demilitarize, but then, as the Army Chief has pointed out, you need to accept the actual ground positions of both sides, which the Pakistanis have not been willing to do. But I think, if you look at what has happened in the last year and a half, to me, it just does not appear to be now a solely sort of bilateral issue. With the PLA presence in subsector North and Eastern Ladakh, which is an area sort of adjoining, if you go across the Karakoram from the Chinese side, you are actually into the valley of the Siachen Glacier. So I think if you look at it in the current context, I think India would be hard-pressed, even notwithstanding what our official position has been, to even look at sort of moving out from Siachen, because this is an area that we see where actually, if you're looking at a sort of a two-front threat, the only place in which it can actually manifest in a significant manner is this area of Siachen Glacier. So I think there is a huge complication now to what was a bilateral issue with what the Chinese have done in subsector North and Eastern Ladakh.
Okay, let's shift our focus now to China, and I'm being told that Rakesh Sood has joined us as well. Good evening to you, sir, as well. General Hooda, the Army Chief today has taken all questions put to him on China. At one point, he was asked if things can escalate in Eastern Ladakh. He says, I don't know, but if it happens, we will emerge victorious. Now, I'm not a warmonger, but top mandarins in South Bloc have been telling me that anything is possible on the ground. Are they being dramatic, or is the Army Chief underplaying the threat?
No, see, as the Army Chief said, we don't know how sort of escalation happens. See, Shreya, let's look at it, practically. From what was there prior to May last year, or last year, sorry, and to what has happened today, the number of soldiers which are on the LAC has increased exponentially. There is a loss of trust on both sides. Both sides are aggressively sort of trying to patrol and, make sure that their claims to their areas remain firm. And so you have a situation on ground where you could have, small incidents sort of leading to larger issues. So while talks are going on and we are engaged in conversation with the PLA and the leadership, the fact is that the situation on ground remains tense. I mean, if you ask soldiers on ground, they will surely be sort of like making sure, and particularly after what happened at Galwan, rules of engagement have changed. So I think it is right that we need to be prudent and, look at the fact that things could escalate and go out of control.
Okay. Rakesh Sood, in the last 20 months, courtesy satellite imagery that has come, the massive infrastructure built up by the Chinese is visible to the world, and it is not just restricted to that one bridge in Pangong or, roads being built. They are doing all sorts of things. They have put in a lot of men. They have put in a lot of money at the LAC. I want to ask you if this is a build-up for war, and is this deployment that we are seeing on the ground permanent now? Has the LAC, for all practical purposes, changed forever, sir?
Well, so, Shreya,
I think. Sorry.
Rakesh Sood, you go ahead, and then I'll let General Hooda come in.
Okay. Thank you. I think the LAC was a temporary measure, and as everybody knows, both China and India had different perceptions of the LAC, right? And the idea in 1988 was that we would kind of put this on the back burner, have talks, develop other aspects of the relationship. Now, I think in the last 6, 7, 8 years, we have seen increasing activity on the LAC. Clearly, there is a different China. China has changed its approach. It is no longer willing to, and we have also seen that the talks at the political level, as far as the LAC is concerned, namely the special representatives and so on, they've had 23 or 24 rounds. They have not made much progress after 2005. So there is a shift on the ground. There is both a shift that is apparent in terms of the strategy, and there's a shift that is apparent in terms of material power, in terms of the size of the economy, in terms of the size of the defense budgets, and so on. And to add to that, the personality of the current leader, who is now changing a 30-year-old policy of extending his term to a third term, something that was not done earlier. So clearly, if he is taking a third term, which is, as I think, quite apparent, then he has to show that he is going to deliver something which is quite big. Now,
so what are you saying? Are you saying, Mr. Sood, that anything can happen on the ground because there are political ambitions involved here? That don't rule out an escalation? Kuch bhi ho sakta hai?
You see, even where there has been disengagement, we have not been able to de-escalate.
Correct.
The fact remains that what has happened is that we have seen disengagement at certain points, on the north bank of Pangong So, on the south bank of Pangong So, and so on. But we have not seen actual de-escalation. So that is why even at these locations, the troops on both sides remain ready to go.
Okay.
And then there is also the thing that Depsang and Demchok are being treated as legacy issues.
That's problematic.
And I think it's political.
That's problematic. That's problematic. Yeah. General, I don't have too much time on this show, but General Hooda, 30 seconds, could you explain to us why this talk of Depsang and Demchok being legacy issues, and that has been, by the way, repeated in the press conference, why that is problematic?
So, Shreya, it's problematic because you need to look at, if you are talking about restoration of status quo ante, we need to look at areas like Depsang and Demchok. And just because they are difficult and they are complicated, I don't think we should put them on the back burner. I am afraid by talking about Depsang as a legacy issue, the Chinese may just turn around when it comes to discussing Depsang and saying, this thing predates what has happened, and therefore, it's not in the same league, and therefore we are not going to talk about it. So, I think this talk of legacy issue needs to be put aside.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we leave it there for the moment. General Hooda, thank you very much. Rakesh Sood, thank you very much for this brief but illuminating conversation. Now, we've all spoken about the Chinese build-up, infrastructure build-up, but what is India doing? I'm speaking to the chief of the BRO, which is the Border Road Organization, ahead on the show. So, do stay with us. We've all seen China's infrastructure build up at the LAC, a signal that its aggressive deployment is now permanent. But what is India doing in response? Take a look. Galwan Valley, June 2020, when decades of relative peace along the LAC ended in bloodshed. 20 Indian soldiers killed in action, scores more on the other side. At the heart of a clash was a road, one that is key to India's strategic interest in the region. The 255-kilometer Darbuk-Shiog-Daulat Beg Oldie Road was finished in 2020 after nearly 2 decades of work. The DSDBO road is meant to increase India's ability to quickly move forces and machinery to the high-altitude Daulat Beg Oldie Air Base in case of a conflict. It's not just territory, but territorial domination that marks the Sino-India border conflict in the 21st century. For several years now, satellite pictures have been picking up unprecedented Chinese infrastructural expansion across the border, from Arunachal Pradesh to Ladakh. Multiple airstrips, mammoth dams, concrete roads, highways, even inhabited villages cropping up almost overnight. It's this aggressive build-up that has encouraged China to repeatedly flex its muscle over the past decade, whether it is in Daulat Beg Oldie or Demchok, Pangong So or the Galwan Valley. And by recognizing this threat, India has decided to meet fire with fire, in this case, brick with brick.
पिछले दिनों नॉर्दर्न सेक्टर में हमें जिन परिस्थितियों का सामना करना पड़ा और जिस प्रकार हम एडवर्सरी का दृढ़ता से मुकाबला करने में सक्षम रहे, वह बिना उपयुक्त इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चरल डेवलपमेंट के संभव नहीं हो सकता था। और आज के अनिश्चितता के माहौल में किसी प्रकार के संघर्ष की संभावना से इनकार नहीं किया जा सकता। ऐसी स्थितियां हमें इन इलाकों के विकास के लिए और भी प्रेरित करती हैं।
The defense minister's warning coming during a massive inauguration spree at the end of last year. 27 roads and bridge projects, most of them along the Indo-Tibetan border. They include the Flag Hill Dokla Road, a 33-kilometer double-laned motorable stretch at an altitude of 11,000 feet, which will reduce the time needed for Indian troops to reach the Doklam Plateau dramatically. And the Umbling La Pass Road, a 52-kilometer stretch constructed at a height of 19,300 feet that will link Leh to the strategically important Demchok, a boon for not just military strategy but also tourism. In addition, the Raksha Mantri also inaugurated 24 bridges, 5 in Ladakh, 9 in Jammu and Kashmir, 3 in Uttarakhand, 5 in Himachal Pradesh and 1 each in Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. The signalling of intent didn't end here. In a first, the Border Road Organization has kept the Zojila Pass open beyond December 31st despite extreme weather conditions, as well as the Khardungla Pass, the world's second highest motorable road. But the road ahead literally is long and hard. China, with a GDP 6 times India's and a defense budget 3.5 times as large, will continue to outspend and outmuscle us. The trick will be to keep the dragon distracted through diplomacy and geopolitic arm twisting. With Ritanshu Bhattacharya in New Delhi, I'm Shreya Dhondial. To understand the scale of the work that India has been doing as far as infrastructure build-up on the border is concerned, I'm bringing in Lieutenant General Rajiv Chaudhary, who is the Director General of the Border Road Organization, for a very quick chat. General, thank you for your time. The BRO has been silently working behind the scenes this winter to keep strategic passes open. Can you tell us just how challenging this is?
BRO opens approximately 20 passes and more than that, which are located at 15,000 feet or so along the borders, starting from Zojila to Khardungla to Changla, then coming to Himachal Pradesh, Barlachla, Lachungla, Tangangla, and of course Rohtang, in Uttaranchal, Mana and Niti, in Sikkim, Nathula, and in Arunachal, Sela. So last year we decided that pass should be kept open till 31st December. But this time we have gone beyond 31st December, which requires a lot of skill challenging functioning of our teams which are working at these difficult and very challenging areas, and each day matters, especially to the people of Ladakh who get cut off for nearly 6 months or so. And for a rough statistics, each day costs us, if the maintenance has to be done through air arm, 7 crores a day. So we have been able to save a lot of money. Traditionally, Zojila used to get closed in the month of November, but last year we kept it open till 31st, and this time 4th January. So there is a constant exertion by BRO to keep passes open during winters also this time.
All right, and when you have passes open, it also means that not just is the local population helped, but for the armed forces, forces can move in quickly, they can mobilize quickly, their weapons can mobilize quickly. Umlingla has been a very significant achievement as well, sir. This is what, a world record?
Last year, BRO made a major road at Umlingla, which is at 19,024 feet, and the same was recognized by Guinness Book of World Records on 16th November. Just to keep you informed, Umlingla stands much taller than the Siachen Glacier, which is at approximately 17,700 feet, and it also is above both the base camps of Mount Everest. When I went there last year, I met the people of Demchok, and they told me that earlier, when this road was not there from Cheshumle to Demchok, they used to take 2.5 days to come down to Hanle for meeting their relatives or some medical emergencies or any other requirements. But today, by virtue of this road being there, they take only 3.5 hours to reach Hanle. And Hanle is very important town in Ladakh, where the world's highest observatory is there, and also there is a monastery, Hanle Monastery, which is 17th century established, and which relates to Drukpa lineage of Buddhism. So Hanle is also emerging as a major tourist center.
Okay.
Besides what BRO does, making roads for the armed forces, it also helps in tourism and socio-economic development of whatever areas we are connecting.
Okay. General, my last question to you is this. We have been in a standoff with China at the LAC for 20 months now, and comparisons are made between their infrastructure and our infrastructure, their infrastructure being said at least 10 years ahead of us. Could you tell us where we stand?
Look, I don't want to compare with anyone. I just give you some statistics. Last 4 years, the budget of BRO has been doubled. And I can give you some rough estimates that in another 3 years, this present budget also will get doubled. So we are progressing very fast. We have accelerated the pace of construction of roads, bridges, tunnels in the forward areas, and it has never happened like this. There is a lot of support from the government of the day. Honorable Raksha Mantri has been motivating the force to achieve this unachievable targets. There is a lot of support in delegation of powers and simplifying the processes and procedures by our Defence Secretary. And there's a lot is happening in upgrading the standards of our CPLs who work for us, who are the backbone of BRO. We have upgraded their living conditions. We are giving them winter clothings. We are giving them a lot of other facilities, what legally and officially we are not supposed to be mandated to do that. But then they are integral part of BRO who face these harsh conditions and keep doing their work in difficult areas without any hesitation or complaint. So the things are improving and people are really motivated to achieve the very, very high standards of construction all along the borders. So I don't think so there is any need for comparison.
Okay, there's no need for comparison, you say, Lieutenant General Chaudhary. We'll leave it there for the moment. It was good to chat with you. We all, I think, feel a little reassured to know that the BRO is moving full steam ahead when it comes to broader infrastructure. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. To all our viewers, thank you. Good night.